Live from... This is
the Just End the Suffering podcast.
For the win. Got it! Oh! He broke his ankle. Follow me to freedom. Y'all ready for this?
Here's your host, Mike Phillips.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Just End the Suffering podcast, featuring New York sports talk from one suffering fan. I'm your host, Mike Phillips. It's our second episode of the week. We did our sports talk earlier in the week. I talked to Dan Wolken about the college football playoff. I did our week 17 picks with Alan Austin. Now we're going to have a special New Year's podcast. We're the first podcast of 2021. We're going to do the pop culture year in review in 2020. We did this in 2019 in person with our pop culture correspondent, Sam Derosa, and our film critic, Jon Stanko. We cannot do it in person this time because of COVID. We did it on Zoom earlier in the week. You can check that out right after this. All right, we are back here on the podcast. Happy New Year, our first podcast of 2021. We are doing the pop culture year in review for 2020. This is so much fun. We can't let it be just completely damaged by 2020. It's going to be in your feeds, January 1, 2021. Joining me today, our tag team. We did this last year. First up, our pop culture correspondent, one of the podcast MVPs of 2020, Sam Derosa. Sam, how are you?
Sweet. I'm glad I got an MVP title. Feel extra special, but good. Thanks for having me. I'm super glad to be back.
All right, Sam is back. Also back with us the first time since the Mandalorian premiere on this podcast. He's actually talking right now, doing some film critic stuff. We got him on a rare off day from work. Jon Stanko is here. John, how are you?
Mike, how are you doing? I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have the MVP Sam with me. Sam can bat clean up. I'll bat ninth. That's fine. I'll just round the bases. She can knock him out the park.
I feel like you're the leadoff guy on this team. I feel like you're just getting on there, getting on base, swiping all the bases, and then Sam driving us in.
Fun fact, I hate batting leadoff. I hate it in slow pitch softball. I hate it in baseball. I hate it. Bat me last. I don't care. I hate hitting. I hate it. Bat me last and let me play defense. That's fine.
Where is your position in slow pitch softball?
Oh, I'm the outfield, baby. I patrol.
Yeah.
I run around all over the place.
Really? I'm put in catcher. They always put me for catcher, which is, I guess, a very female-y position.
Well, that's not true because you could chat up all the hitters and then you confuse them all and you dazzle them and then they strike out in slow pitch softball. So that is a superpower.
I make friends with the refs and then they call things in my favor. I'm like, you guys thirsty? Do you need a drink? Do we need anything?
Yeah.
There we go. There you go. See, you have your powers.
You can bribe them with some coupons.
Oh yeah, free Outback coupons.
Yep. You can bribe with coupons, and we are here today. We're going to talk about all the fun things that happened in pop culture in the 2020 year, which I admit we did the preview of this last year. It was not at all we expected to happen, John. I feel like a lot of things just went off the grid.
Well, safe to say there's a thing called COVID-19 that happened that really steered a lot of the pop culture direction off a cliff.
Yeah.
So a lot of things were done on the fly this year, which I think we're going to see. A lot of things were canceled and brought to light that got more attention than they deserved, in my opinion. Looking at you, time. So I'm sure we're going to have some lively debates here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think I know exactly one of the things you're referencing. It got too much hype this year, but we'll get to that. But for now, I think let's get started here. Let's talk about number one. I think as we did last year, we'll go to the Super Bowl. Last year, John could not remember who the halftime act was. John, remember who it is this year?
Oh, of course. It was Shakira and J-Lo.
Yeah.
Of course I remember this year.
So, John, since you remember, tell me your thoughts on it.
Listen, I say this as objectively as a male, and I think as a human on this earth, that halftime show was awesome. I think male and female could appreciate what was on that stage and just the pure beauty and sexiness of it. I was hosting a Super Bowl party, and I tell you that of the 12 people in this room, pre-COVID, everyone was stunned silence during the show, and after it, everyone looked at each other going, that was marvelous, that was perfect, that is all. It was universal approval rating. Am I right, Sam? Universal.
100%. You got J-Lo, you got Shakira. Like, honestly, like, they can't let you down. They can't let you down.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, to anyone who didn't like it, get the stick out of your butt and just accept it for what it was. They knew what they were doing. They knocked it out of the park, continuing with the baseball references here, and everyone enjoyed it. So Deal with it. It's going to be really, really, really hard to top. It is the most memorable halftime performance that I have seen.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think this year is going to be anything near it.
Yeah, this year coming up is the weekend.
Who is this year's?
The weekend.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't even know who it is, but thankfully Mike.
I googled it. I didn't remember. I didn't even know offhand.
Oh,
I don't know the weekend. I don't know the.
They're very poppy. We'll say that. That's what I got. So they're going away from the J-Lo Shakira direction, probably back towards the Coldplay direction. It didn't work out very well.
How are they going to perform in an empty stadium, or empty-ish because it's in Tampa? They'll allow people in the stands, but like that's still going to be really weird. It's a weird aesthetic as it is, performing in a giant arena, like in that whole entire for just a 15-minute span. Now with 25% capacity, that's going to be a weird look.
Plus, you know that at halftime they always bring all the people down the field and they're having the big rave concert on. They're not going to be doing that during COVID.
Nope, can't have that this year. Good luck to the television producers trying to make that show look entertaining.
I mean, it's lawless Florida. You never know with Florida. That's the only like asterisk that you have there. Like we don't know what's gonna happen with on-field music.
I'm gonna be dropping in the least valuable players throughout this whole entire podcast, and Florida is the least valuable player of 2020.
Just Florida or Ron DeSantis?
You know what? You can go with both, but I'm just sticking to Florida for this one. Florida is a least valuable player of 2020 and on the whole.
Yeah, we could say also, like shout out to our legal correspondent, Phil Ferreira, who is a noted anti-Ron DeSantis fan. So his pick would be Ron DeSantis for the LVP of 2020. I think we'll put the Super Bowl past us. Sam and I gave high marks to the Super Bowl halftime podcast earlier this year. Let's talk about the other big pop culture event of the year, The Last Dance. John, you and I talked about this on the podcast. We talked about the finale. You gave the whole thing, I think, an A on the whole. So, memories of The Last Dance. What was the favorite thing that stuck out to you?
Was this the ultimate cultural touchstone for 2020 in terms of all of society unifying around one thing? Was this 2020's version of Game of Thrones?
I think it might be.
Everybody I know watched this or had a take on it, whether they be a sports fan or not. So, and the amazing thing is they pushed this out months before it was supposed to even come out, and it still left probably the biggest stamp on culture in 2020. So I got to give credit to The Last Dance. It still stands the test of time. Still an A for me. Remarkable achievement this year. Yeah,
a little bit of a backstory on The Last Dance. They announced this last year. They said, okay, it's going to come out and the week of the NBA Finals. We're going to do it 10 nights in a row. COVID happens. Everything, all the sports get canceled. And ESPN says, hey, we need this now. Get it ready. So we get 5 nights, Sunday nights in a row, 2-hour blocks. I did these on the podcast the whole time. John did the finale with me. I think it's held up very well. Sam, you did not talk about The Last Dance on the air with me. What did you think about it as it was happening?
it was great. Like I was so excited because I work Sunday nights, so I would have it on my little DVR and I come home and then I watch it when I got home. Like I would want to stay up to watch it. I was very excited to see it. But funny enough, I felt like it was so long ago this happened. Like I'm like, Last Dance wasn't that last year, but I can't believe it was in 2020, which I'm sure I'll have the same remark on other things we talk about this year. But no, it's one of my favorite. I've actually rewatched it a second time just to get the whole feel for it again. Yeah, and John, one of the things I remember too about this was just it was one of those rare things where it's you wanted to watch it in the real time. You did not want to catch it on the DVR if you could avoid it. Where I remember every Sunday night, 9:00, I was just sitting in front of ESPN, having that on and just live tweeting it. And that was the biggest live tweeting thing I think since Game of Thrones, like you said.
Yeah, I that's what I'm saying. It being the cultural touchstone, everybody wanted to tune into this. People were coming out with stories and debating things on Twitter. It was basically the first take of culture. Everyone had a different take on the flu game or on Scottie Pippen's contract or the moments of the documentary that were just utterly remarkable. Like when MJ talked about competition and he literally started crying because he loves competition so much. That whole entire sequence of 2 minutes, beautifully edited footage, it was remarkable, and all of the internet was in love with that at the same time.
Do you mind
also, The Last Dance gave GIFs and memes galore that are going to be used past 2020. So I want to ask you, Mike, and you, Sam, your favorite GIF or meme to come out of The Last Dance.
Oh my God. How can you pick just one? That's the thing.
Yeah, John, you can go with yours first. I can try to pick between the two I have.
Well, mine is the I took that personally meme. I love it whenever somebody says something and then they have a monster game the next day. Recently, Luka didn't play that great in the first 2 games, and the Mavericks beat the Clippers by 50. And Luka took that personally just with that meme. I love that I took that personally meme. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think for me, that was one of the two I had on there. The other one was anytime you see Michael Jordan make like bug-eyed reactions to like people talking about him on the iPad, those are always my favorite memes.
Yeah.
Do you guys care? Do you guys care if I play one of my favorite moments from the last dance on the podcast? I just still have it on the soundboard.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the premiere of this. We're gonna go back to the traveling cocaine circus. We got to relive this one a minute. So this is the traveling cocaine circus.
Traveling cocaine circus.
I never read that.
Accurate?
Look, guys were doing things that I didn't see. I had one event, preseason, I think we were in Peoria. It's in a hotel. So I'm trying to find my teammates. So I start knocking on doors. I get to this one door, and I knock on the door, and I can hear someone says, shh, someone's outside. And then you hear this deep voice says, who is it? I says, MJ. And then they all said, oh, fuck, he's just a rookie. Don't worry about it. So they open up the door. I walk in, and practically the whole team was in there. And it was like things I've never seen in my life, as a young kid. You got your lines over here, you got your weed smokers over here, you got your women over here. So the first thing I said, look, man, I'm out, because all I can think about is if they come and raid this place right about now, I am just as guilty as everybody else that's in this room. And from that point on, I was more or less on my own.
I think this was great just because that members of that team, Sam, were just sitting at home with their families trying to explain what the hell Michael Jordan was just talking about.
I love it. It felt like in like college, you know what I mean? Like you're in a dorm room and then like the RA comes on. It's like, hello. It's like, who is it? Like nothing's going on in here. I just thought it was like really funny. And it's like, it's something that we would never get outside of that documentary from like anybody. And only like Michael Jordan can be the one to like say that to like America and it'd be like, whatever, nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like he can get away with it. He like lets everybody else off the hook. It's great. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, John, one thing I loved about The Last Dance also is like, yes, it's Michael Jordan's story and we do follow Michael Jordan throughout, but I did like that they made certain episodes about certain people. Like episode 2 was the Scottie Pippen episode. We had Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson, even Steve Kerr got like a spotlight in one of the last episodes. I did like that. We got a little flush out of everybody.
Well, Steve was incredibly powerful. He talked about his family too and how he can. And I actually didn't know the Steve Kerr story, so when that came out, that was profound. And I remember people getting emotional on the internet, and it was emotional to watch. So that was a really entertaining watch. And then also, I frankly didn't know a lot about Scottie Pippen and his whole contract scenario, how he milked an injury and then decided to get surgery at the last minute. MJ was pissed about it. Interesting relationship there that had more levels to it than I thought and than I ever knew, which The Last Dance kind of shined a light on.
Yeah, I think that was definitely fun. The one thing we have to touch on before we move on from The Last Dance is obviously the controversy around the flu game, because that was the big thing that came out of the finale, because MJ came out and said, nope, it was not the flu. I got spiked pizza. Somebody gave me food poisoning. And that's the account they're all sticking with. I had Sam Smith on the podcast. He disputed that. John's already heard this take. He said that he thought it was altitude sickness because they were staying down in the mountains and they flew up for the games. Sam, is somebody who is not involved in this. Whose side of the debate do you fall on with the flu game?
I mean, honestly, you don't want to like go against Michael Jordan, so you're gonna want to be like, yeah, it's the pizza because that's what he said. But like, I haven't heard that many people getting sick from eating pizza. But then again, I haven't had any good pizza outside of the tri-state area, so I'm just gonna have to leave it at that.
John, any thoughts? Because I know that you had a hot take on it back in May when we were talking about this.
I think now looking back on it, I think one of the theories I heard that I actually liked was cigar smoke, because he was a big cigar guy. If he was chilling in the hotel room smoking cigars and that cigar smoke, you take down an extra coffee you're not supposed to, mixing that with food, I can understand how that would upset your stomach. So that was probably the theory that I go with now. But again, I don't know who to believe in this. People are telling different stories. I want to believe the legend of the flu game just because that's a fun story to hear. And I kind of want to let that legend live on.
Yeah, I know this is me personally being a little biased towards the guest I had on. I'm going to side with Sam Smith on the altitude sickness. I think that's my personal belief on it. I feel like the pizza narrative, it's a fun narrative to tell in the story, and it's a sexier sell than, I was sick because I was going between the heights of my hotel and the arena. I think the pizza game and I got poisoned by spiteful Jazz fans is more fun to tell. So I understand why they went that way.
Well, either way, it was a conversation point on the internet, and now people are still debating it to this day. So credit to The Last Dance for bringing up history that was 20 years ago and now making people remember it.
Yeah, they did. And let's go on to a little bit of the broadcast TV, because obviously there was not much happening because a lot of shows got shut early because of the pandemic. It was the year of reality TV and the year of the game show. Let's start with the reality TV because Jon and Sam are both huge Bachelorette fans, and this season had one of the biggest controversial twists of all time. I'll let you two go. Jon, set us up here. Tell us a bit what happened, your thoughts.
All right, well, first, before we start on the Glacier season, Sam, me and you talking here. Can we agree that Pete the Pilot was a terrible season of The Bachelor and he was incredibly boring and that should just be shunned away from that franchise? Do we agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. It was such a disappointment. That entire season was such a disappointment.
It was so bad. So bad. Screw you, Barb. Barb, you suck. Barb, you're an awful human.
Yeah, she should take some serious lessons on the other Bachelorette contestants' parents. Like, she needs to take how to write down notes.
Exactly. But anyway, Sam, the Glacier season, can we agree that Tayshia is a godsend? And her, frankly, I'm going to say this, and I mean it, her boobs should be a national monument because they are possibly a most valuable player of 2020. Again, universal approval rating from my girlfriend, from her mom, from everybody agreeing that Tayshia is stunningly gorgeous and she knocked it out of the park.
Oh my God, yeah. And I was like, if anybody breaks this girl's heart, like, I hate them. Like, no, I don't even care how great you are. Like, you cannot break her heart because she's like an amazing, I don't even know her personally. I'm like, she's just amazing. I just wish I was her. You know what I mean?
Now, I want to ask you, as a fan of the show, big theme was that there were older men on the show because they were there for Claire. Claire went with Dale. Don't know if they're still together. Don't really care because I didn't like Claire. And Dale, frankly, creeped me out. Just, he's creepy. But, like, you got to think the older guys kind of played to the show, I think, really excelling, especially in the COVID times of, like, stability and, like, being emotionally vulnerable and understanding, like, your own faults and growing upon them. It was, like, the most unveiling season of The Bachelorette I can remember in terms of the older guys being vulnerable.
Definitely. And then on top of that, like, who she ended up with, I'm not trying to do spoilers. I know it's kind of recent.
Well, I can put the spoiler warning up if you guys want to talk about it. So
I thought I always set this alarm off.
Yeah, so we'll set the alarm off. All right, you are clear. If you have not watched The Bachelorette, you can go skip ahead about 2 minutes.
So I really love Zach. Like, Zach was like, he had the best proposal, I feel like, ever in Bachelor/Bachelorette history. Like, I feel like he was like the most genuine and everything. And like, you really rooted for him. But I feel like I rooted for more than one person. And I feel like maybe like the age and the maturity helped with that.
The only person who I really didn't like by the end was Ben. Because he just started annoying me going, like, yeah, you screwed up. Yeah, you screwed up. Own it. Like, don't come back because you made a mistake. Like you can say the same thing about Bennett. Bennett got creepy by the end, but he was so funny when he was in the show originally that he earned goodwill in my graces. So it's fine.
My favorite is like, it's like when you like, if you don't, it's like you live long enough. If you don't see yourself the hero, you're the villain or whatever that saying is. That's Bennett right there. / he's the American Psycho because he's like, and he's from New York. I'm just like, he murders people, but I love him. Like, he was great for his like little time. And then I'm just like, Bennett, come on. Like, but we all knew who he was. So it's just like, why are we surprised?
When he gave Noah that gift, oh my God, I was hiding underneath a pillow in a blanket going, I can't watch this. Meanwhile, my girlfriend who loves cringe comedies going, this is the funniest thing alive. Oh my God. I'm there going, oh my God, I want to die in a hole and never come out ever again.
No, I couldn't watch it either. I was like, I wish I could fast forward live TV. It was so bad.
It was so bad. But regardless, fantastic season. Saved the franchise. And now I'm excited for Matt James. Matt James is a stud. I'm excited for probably a little bit more drama with the girls being contestants because, frankly, they end up not liking each other as much as the guys like love each other by the end of The Bachelorette. But I'm very excited for January 4th. I'm stoked.
Well, like last year, it was like with Victoria when she dated that like ex like country singer or whatever. I don't listen to country music, so I don't really know who he is.
Chase
but
Wright,
like,
I believe, right?
The what?
Was it Chase Rice? Am I remembering that right?
I feel like the name is definitely Chase. I feel like you're right.
All right. Yeah, anyways, carry on.
But it's just like the Bachelorette or the Bachelor producers work hard, or the devil works hard, but the Bachelor producers work harder. Like, I'm just like, I feel like whoever's on the Bachelor, I feel like they have to be different producers, because I feel like the Bachelorette producers are just like a little nicer, just a little kinder and a little softer, and I feel like that's nice. But like the Bachelor ones were like, let's cause chaos. Like, it's great.
I also think the Bachelorette contestants as a whole, the girls who are on the show to find love, like when they're the center point, they know what they want more than the guy Bachelor, because guy, you get dazzled by pretty things and you're a million different places, and the producers can play more games with you because you don't know what you want. So to the female gender, like, you guys know what you want, so the producers can't play with you as much on the Bachelorette, but come the Bachelor, there's going to be drama, no doubt.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm definitely I'm gonna be intrigued. I might actually check this out. I know you two have both told me to watch it, so I may dive in the pool this year and see what all the hubbub is about. While you were talking, I did look up the Chase Rice situation, because I know that name because, believe it or not, I was actually contesting back on Survivor back in like 2010-ish, 2011, and then I looked him out The Bachelorette. Apparently he was like used to date like Victoria, whoever it was, and then they brought him in for a concert.
It was him. Yeah, it was great. It was such a great producing work.
It was so awful to watch, though, but so cringe.
Yes.
Yeah. I did not think we were getting a Chase Rice shout out in this podcast. I will say that was what I didn't have on the bingo card.
You never know what you're going to get on the Just End the Suffering podcast, Mike. You never know.
You definitely don't know, but I do know I want to talk on more on the reality TV as well, because like obviously I'm the big CBS guy. They had a fun year on the shows. The Survivor had the all winners this season. That was a great show. Amazing race. John, did you know they had 2 former NFL players on it this year?
No, I haven't watched The Amazing Race since I was in high school, and I would try to stay up late and watch as much as possible with my parents and get past my early bedtime.
Yeah.
But that show, is that the longest running reality TV show? Is it that or Survivor?
Survivor is 40 seasons. Amazing Race just finished their 32nd. Remember D'Angelo Williams, the running back, and Gary Barney's the tight end? They were
D'Angelo Williams on the Panthers, right?
Yes. Yeah. He and his former teammate Gary Barney ran the race. They finished in 4th place, and they were a lot of fun. We learned a lot of things. Like Gary Barney apparently is a big art guy. He's very cultured, and D'Angelo is making memes all over the internet, like it's shock faces. They got eliminated at a twist at the end, and I love D'Angelo for this because basically there were 3 other teams. They've been in alliance most of the race. The alliance turned on them at the end because obviously, gotta get to the end of the race. He, at the end, gets so pissed when Phil Kogan asked him, he's like, hey, did you have fun? He's like, no, I did not have fun in this race. He's like, I could do this myself. I could spend the money and run this whole race myself. And Gary Barnes like,
I bet you he would have had fun if he won.
Yeah.
He's a competitor.
Yeah. I got to find the clip for this. I'll send you a link to this, but they were a lot of fun on the race this season. So Gary and D'Angelo finished 4th place. They were my things. I like Tough as Nails on CBS. They had average people basically like, from like, you call them essential workers, like basically trying to show like how tough they are. That was a fun show as well. But I also am a big game show guy. John, as you can see, I'm rocking the Supermarket Sweep sweatshirt here right tonight. So I know we said you did not watch it in the summer. Did you get to check out any of this?
I did not, unfortunately. Again, I'm not a big Leslie Jones fan. So I was not compelled to watch the reboot, though again, according to the commercials, that it was very well renowned and it was very well watched, which I could believe. But I just never got into it. The only game show thing I could really contribute is that I kind of fell in love with Jeopardy a bit.
Yeah.
At the end of this year, I think the passing of Alex Trebek definitely had an effect on it. But my girlfriend and I started watching it more regularly before The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. So that's kind of the only game show that I really kind of fell in love with this year, because there's no better feeling than getting Final Jeopardy right and everyone else getting it wrong. There is no better feeling in the world. You will never be more confident than when that happens.
Did you watch the Jeopardy tournament, all-time tournament of champions back in January?
I did do that. I did.
Because that was one thing I completely forgot was this year, because they had that beginning of the year with James Holzhauer, Brad Rutter, and Ken Jennings, and Brad just kept getting owned because Brad couldn't get a single dollar in any of the Jeopardy categories.
But here's the thing, is that Brad kind of owned it. He's like, this is what it is. They are coming out. This is a question for you, Mike, because you are a broadcast TV game show guy.
Yes.
There's a new show coming out, The Chase, which has the 3 of them, and it's trivia related.
Yes.
So I'm intrigued because I love trivia, but I don't necessarily love broadcast TV game shows. So I'm probably going to give it a shot. I'm not going to miss I'm going to like it. But because it's trivia, it involves those 3, which centers around Jeopardy, I'm probably going to watch it.
I will be there. I will be there on premiere night. I'll see if it's worth sticking around. I don't know about Celebrity Wheel of Fortune beforehand, but, you know, like, they need to fill airtime.
Here's my take. Wheel of Fortune, trash.
I hate Wheel of Fortune. I can never win. It makes me so pissed. Like, I'm so bad at it. Jeopardy, I'm like, certain categories, I kill it because trivia. I love trivia. I'm full of useless knowledge.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like filling in like words, I'm like, oh my God, it could be like 30 words. I'm like the worst. I could never go on that show.
Yeah, and as far go back to the supermarket for a second. Sam and I did this on the podcast. We had fun with the premiere. It was a lot of fun, and I gotta play like a couple of sound clips for Jon Stanko. No, he's not a Leslie Jones fan. I'll see if I get a laugh at him on a couple of these. So Sam has heard these, but this is also one of the twists on Supermarket Sweep during the big sweep is they have to have a chance to fulfill Leslie Jones's personal shopping list, and she gives them 3 items. They collect all 3. They get $500 on their total. So this is the sweep list, shopping list from the premiere. Let's hear Leslie Jones's shopping list for Jon.
And I'll give you an extra $500 if you can bring me the following items from my personal shopping list. I'm having a me night tonight, so I want a Glade scented candle, a spatula, and a cucumber. Don't ask me what none of it's for. It's me night.
I saw a little smile out of Jon there.
I see the innuendo for broadcast TV there. So clever job by the producers to try and get some talking points there.
You want innuendo? I got another one for you. There is
Okay, now here's my thing though, is that if you want to do that, why not just like put it on like a more like put it on later at night so you can get away with that joke and make fun around it.
They're trying to play around because they want to have the family audience, but also try and shoot the humor in there, keep the adults engaged. That's what I think they're trying to do.
I see what they're trying to do. I just don't need to like it.
Yeah, there's also another one. They have an actor there. They have like these side characters played by like comedians to sort of like fill out characters in the store. And there was one cashier named DC who basically is a perv. And I'll give you at the end of it, before they check out the big sweep totals, Leslie Jones talks to DC and he gives them like some weird quote everybody. So here's DC from the premiere.
Okay, time to check out the goods, right, DC?
Hey, if you got the goods, I'll check them out.
Wow, that just feels so dirty.
Again, I see the disapproving smile from Jon.
That I just didn't like. That was just bad. That would make me change the channel. The other one, I get it. I can smile. I'll acknowledge it. That, me and DC, no.
So you see DC in real life, you're walking the other way.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't you?
Sam, any thoughts on the DC a couple of months after the fact?
I mean, it's just weird. It's funny because before you played the clips, I was trying to get in like, I bet you Stanko's gonna cringe at least or both of them.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that was gonna be up your alley, but you know what I mean? It's funny for like a hot second, but not DC's comments. That's just a little
it's a little much.
It went over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I enjoy it. It's nice to have on the background doing some work. I do get some laughs occasionally, and I think it's gonna be fun. See if they can revive it in season 2. See what's going on there. But
I don't begrudge anyone for liking it. You could have your type of comedy if there's a reason it's there. There's a reason it's popular. It just doesn't fill the Stanko pool of interest for me personally.
I just like because I would kick ass at that game. I used to work in a grocery store, so I know all the tricks.
Oh, so that's why Mike liked it. It's competitive for him.
He's
yelling at the contestants as they're running down the aisles.
Yeah, there's one time on this show where there was like one contestant who like he was kind of just lollygagging around, la-di-da in the supermarket, and like Leslie Jones does like announcing over the PA, and she's losing her mind. And the editors had fun with it. They basically, and Sam knows it, and when they do the usually do the go fast music. They changed music up and had this slow, like, elevator music playing when this guy was shopping and no clue what he was doing. And Leslie Jones ripped him a new one after she came out at the end. It was great.
I love Leslie.
I'm assuming that he didn't win.
No. Most of these totals and the sweep are usually like, oh, you need like $3,000, $4,000 of groceries to win. He got $700-something. And she was like, it's like, kid, that's not going to win the 90s show, let alone right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, I really wish you like Leslie Jones. I know she's like a little like in your face.
Yeah.
But I think she's so funny. Like there's something about her I just like thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah,
I think she's good within a scene or like when she's part of an ensemble. I'm not a fan when it's just her in a room doing her own thing. I think she needs to be working off other people, other comedians, I should say.
Well, I have a Leslie Jones project for you later on that you might like, and that's a tease. We're going to get there, but we'll go to HBO next, which is much more up John's alley, because I think this was, again, I think in terms of MVP candidates for 2020, HBO's got to be high up on the list.
HBO is up there for sure. I know the first show you're going to talk about that you sent us on the rundown is McMillions. I'm going to be honest, I had to go back and look when this was released. I thought this was 2019. And I thought this was that long ago. And I was like, wow. Like, this kind of, like, it was good. I remember watching it, like, very quickly after the release, if not on the night of. But, man, oh, man, this felt like eons ago for McMillions.
You want to know when McMillions ended?
March?
Yes, like, the finale era, we were in Atlantic City for the MAC tournament. That's when it aired.
Oh, my God, you're right. Actually, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah.
It was right before the craziness started. It was like McMillions was going on. We talked about it on the 100th episode, how fun it was. And Sam even started watching it. Sam, what did you think about it?
I really liked it. You know how I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. So in Lawless, Florida, I keep my little, like, you know, line here. But I thought it was like so interesting. And like, you know, as much as it wasn't nice and they like stole a bunch of money, like really smart. Like I was just like, I wish I thought of that. I would go to jail for like a couple $1 million. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I did not be a part of it. But then also I didn't remember that happened. Like I remember being younger and being like, oh, that McDonald's Monopoly thing is a scam because we're all around the same age. But I don't remember like this being it's an actual huge scam. Like unless you had the tickets from the guy, you wouldn't have won. But I remember being like younger, maybe just because it was in the paper or something. But I just was like, wow, I just remember being younger, being like, yo, this isn't real. Like you won't win. But I was just like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
you know,
I never think I'm gonna win at any of those things. When I was a kid, like playing off the Mountain Dew, I never thought I was going to win. So I had my first McDonald's meal this year in about a decade. No joke. Stopped on the way to a basketball game. Me and Bayer were starving, and I got McNuggets.
Yeah.
It was the first McDonald's food I've had in a decade.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you buy my dad a Big Mac, he'd be like so excited. That's his like favorite thing is like a Big Mac. When we were younger, he'd be like, no. You get the chicken nuggets, you get the kids meal. I'm allowed the Big Mac, and you can like look at it, but you can't taste it. he loved the Big Mac and everything. And fun fact for not me, Sam Derosa, the older Sam Derosa.
The OG.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. But he literally can tell you about like one of the first McDonald's, like the one in Larchmont, like, you know, pick his brain about McDonald's because he'll talk about it for hours.
I'll do that tomorrow at shoot around. I'll get him talking.
Oh my God, don't tell him I told you. He'll be like, yeah, I was talking about McDonald's, I was thinking about McDonald's. And he'd be like, oh, fun fact, you know, McDonald's, I was at the first one. I was in Boy Scouts. Like, he'll go on for like 45 minutes. I'm sorry, that's very that's very small niche of like your listeners here who know who my father is. But
for those of you who are in that subset, definitely go if you know him, find him and talk to you about it.
Yeah, I kind of sound like Draco Malfoy. Like, wait till my father hears about this. I just gave myself Draco Malfoy vibes.
Yeah, let's go on for McMillions. I want to talk about Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if either of you are big Curb fans, but like this season was fun. It was a simpler plot. We had Larry David and Mocha Joe, played by Severio Guerra. Basically, he opened a spiked coffee shop. That was the whole plot of the season because he was trying to spike Mocha Joe's coffee. It was very fun. The best thing that was relevant to us New York sports fans was they did a whole episode talking about how the Jets ruined people's lives.
Well, for you, that's very, very personal. Very personal for you.
It's very relevant. They ruined 2020 for most of us.
Well, the fact that they don't have the first pick anymore and Sam's Jacksonville Jaguars do brings me so much joy in the world. It brings me
that's so mean.
Yeah, well,
Mike, maybe they can suck like we suck. Like, I was giving him hope for like the shittiness of the football season.
No, my Jets have done this for my entire life. They will find a way. They'll be bad for most of the season. Then when they don't need it, oh, now we're going to play well and win 2-3 games. Just knock our draft spots down like five picks.
But honestly, like the Jacksonville Jaguars still have to pick him. They haven't picked him yet. Like
they're going to pick him.
Okay, they could pick him, but there's still like that small percentage of like, you know what? We have like 3 quarterbacks. Like we don't need them. Like we're good. You know what I mean? Like they still can mess it up. You can't until the day's over, until their first like draft pick is done and set in the books. Can we say that they're okay. But for right now, I still don't trust them. As an avid fan, I still don't trust them.
Yeah, and speaking of the Jets, this is one of our few forays into sports talk here. I sent John a link earlier today. Apparently, the Patriots may want to hire Adam Gase after the Jets fire him. So, John, any thoughts on that?
Listen, I wouldn't do it, but I cannot tell you the amount of joy I would get if Adam Gase was part of the Patriots rebuilding a winning team in the Jets' face. I cannot tell you the joy I would have talking to Steve Colto about the quarterback guru, Adam Gase, bringing the Patriots back to relevancy while the Jets still linger in fourth place in the AFC East. It would bring me so much joy, Mike Phillips. Now, with that being said, I would say please don't. Don't care. But looking at the silver lining, I would get so much joy out of how angry my friends would be.
Yeah, just like they were in Curb, because literally one of their fans just they made it a point that one of Larry's friends named Carl got so destroyed after a Jets loss that he literally just died. That was the plot of the episode, was that Larry was ruminating about how the Jets ruin lives.
Oh my God. I have to really watch this show. I've seen like episodes here and there, but this is just like furthering my want to watch the show.
And that's a good standalone episode. You don't need to see the rest of the plot. Like, it's just, you can just watch it and not really care about the rest of this stuff. You have a great guest appearance on Jane Krakowski as Carl's widow, who Larry David tries to get with as a Patriots fan. So then all sorts of fun ensues. And John, they reference the Austin Safari and Jenkins fumble play. That's a big plot point in the episode.
Okay. All right. Again, I have not tuned into Curb because I am terrible with cringe humor. I have a hard time watching it, which I feel like that is all of Curb. That is what it is. But I heard this newer season was an improvement upon the one prior.
Yes.
So for Curb fans, I know yourself and a couple others I know, they were happy with the improvement this year, 2020.
Yeah, shout out to Martino Pucci, who did some Curb recaps with me on this podcast. So we talked a lot of Curb. Let's go on to something we all talked about on this podcast. Westworld Season 3 also happened. That's another one I forgot happened until I went back in my archive and saw what we talked about this year. And I know the season started off okay, kind of went in the middle, and then had a decent ending. I'll go to each of you. John, you first. Westworld thoughts.
My first thought was watch this show. You put it on the rundown. I looked back at it, and I was like, I don't remember if there was a single thing I truly enjoyed about season 3. The only things I remember about were the disappointments I had, like the final showdown between Dolores and Maeve. I thought was anticlimactic, and I thought the season finale was I thought it was bad. So I don't know. I'm probably still gonna watch it to hate watch it and to see the internet get frustrated by it, because the show looks really pretty. That's kind of the only positive thing I remember now looking back on it. But I think we all wanted season 3 to be back like season 1, a lot like how True Detective. Season 1 is still by far the best. It's not even remotely close. And while season 3 was better than season 2, I still wouldn't call it necessarily good television. It's expensive television, very expensive, but not very good.
Sam, any thoughts on Westworld Season 3?
So funny enough, I'm not going to be doing I was like, I have to go in this just straight up playing I'm not going to be reviewing what happened in Westworld, because I was just I want to give my honest take, everything honest, everything upfront and blunt, who I am. And I'm just wow, first off, Westworld 2019, I remember this is what I look forward to, because it was complete quarantine. It felt when Mike was hey, can you do a Westworld podcast? But I'm just I was really disappointed about who the stupid brains were. I was oh, they're all different characters. This is going to be great. We're going to bring different characters back. No, it's all Dolores. I mean, love Dolores, but I just wanted one to be Teddy. I just wanted one to be what's her face? The really pretty one who became Maeve's second mistress, now that the Maeve brains
Clementine.
Clementine, thank you. I was she's a fruit, but I couldn't think of it. But I'm not gonna lie, I always root for Maeve. I don't care what happens to Maeve, as long as Maeve lives, will I continue to watch this show. But all in all, I didn't mind, as long as it was better than season 2. That I feel that was, hopefully that was Westworld's rock bottom. Yeah. But hopefully it's just onwards and upwards from here for that show.
John, you weren't a fan of Marshawn Lynch's character Giggles?
What?
You weren't a fan of Marshawn Lynch on that show?
I remember I liked his shirt because his shirt changed his mood.
Yes, it did.
And I remember thinking that was clever and funny because it meant you didn't have to do a lot of talking, which was smart by the producers and the creators of the show. More just acting like Marshawn, less actual acting.
Yeah.
So credit to producers for that. So that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was fine. I thought it could. Season 2 was a dumpster fire. Although I also want to thank Sam for not attempting to review what happened in season 3. If they don't have all night to do this, because they did a lot of things.
No. Yeah, there's so much stuff that happens.
Yeah,
so much stuff.
Yeah, and they only did it in 8 episodes.
They packed so much in. They packed so much in. I don't know. I'm going to continue watching. I don't know when it's coming back.
Probably 2022. So we won't have to do this next year.
I'll forget so much more about what happened in 2 years between seasons. Great.
Yeah.
That's what they do. I think they do that stuff on purpose. Like the first season, I had to rewatch for season 2. And then I had to rewatch seasons 1 and 2 to watch 3. Now I'm going to have to watch 1, 2, and 3 to watch 4. I feel like it's a ploy. It's something a little shady behind it. They're like, oh, the numbers. Like
it's a scam.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go to some more docs real quick. John, I know you watched The Vow. You were a big fan.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Strongly recommend it. I do think it overstayed its welcome by probably 2 or 3 episodes. Overextended itself to, I believe, 9 episodes, which is a wee bit too many. But it did get me interested in that group Nexium and the story behind them, and frankly, the craziness that goes on with the money laundering scheme that it is, and the fake promises that it gives. It's absolutely crazy. So it is longer than it should be. But with that being said, they left it on a great cliffhanger for season 2, which is supposed to be coming out in 2021 with 7 episodes, not 9. So excited for the condensed season. Yeah, for sure. I recommend it to people, though I will admit, like episodes 5, 6, and 7 definitely drag just a smidge.
Good to know, because I have not. It's on my queue. I haven't gotten there yet. One I did check out in the real time. I know you were also a fan of this, and I think Sam started watching as well. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the documentary about Michelle McNamara, who helped track down the Golden State Killer. Sam, I know you watched it after the fact. What did you think of it?
I really liked it. I don't know if you guys remember, what was it, like July or August? We had that big blackout for like 2 days. At least I lost all my cellular and I had no power in my apartment for like a week. So I came up here to escape that. I watched that for like a whole 2 days and I thought it was an amazing. I just really liked it because first off, I didn't really listen to true crime podcasts until like a year ago. So she was on the forefront of that. I just thought I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really even know this happened, to be honest with you. So I was really excited and I just thought it was a great story to tell. Even through with the help of Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like I say his name wrong.
Yeah. Patton Oswalt with her husband, like they did a good job talking to all the people involved in it. I think it's a good listen if you want to listen. And how she went through all this effort, went through all the paperwork and helped them actually found enough clues, helped the police track down this killer after about 40 years. Very impressive. Very big, very good story. Wouldn't you agree, John?
I totally agree. I think it shows kind of the peril of diving into something so dark, which I think not many people kind of understand or even think about. And I think this kind of shined a light on that nobody expected. I personally didn't expect so much of the story to center around Michelle herself, like as a person. And well, I think this may be like part of me wish they focused more on the killer itself and his motivations and what happened. But with that being said, I think the main thing I take away from it is what Michelle went through to get that book done, and they finished it in her honor. And it makes you feel for Patton Oswalt. I mean, he literally dropped off the coffee. She was still alive, and then he comes back and she's passed away. Like, that's remarkably sad and dark to think about. Like, someone can just be taken away like that. So I think it shined a light that when you dive into the darkest pieces of a person's mind, of a psychopath, it can affect you really in the mental and physical way. So I'll Be Gone in the Dark, great thing. It's not going to be gone from my memory because it's one of the best docs I saw this year.
Yeah, indeed. Let's wrap up HBO real quick. John, I know you checked out Lovecraft Country. Any thoughts on that?
Bailed on it.
Bailed on it hard.
When it got halfway through the season and it just got too freaking bonkers, man. It went off the deep end in terms of like fantasy and stuff, and and I bailed on it because I watching 4 episodes. I really liked one, enjoyed one more, and then I didn't like 2 out of the 4. So I was like, why am I going to keep watching a show where I've only really liked one of the first 4 episodes? So I bailed on it. I have not finished it.
On the scale of like Westworld falling off the cliff, how far did they go?
Not as bad as Westworld, but that being said, I still finished Westworld. That's the crazy thing, is I still felt a connection to Westworld. But like Lovecraft Country, it tried being so many different genres and it couldn't decide what it was. And so I completely bailed on it. Westworld knows what genre it's trying to be. It just really messes up trying to follow that path. Lovecraft Country doesn't know what path it wants to take.
That's certainly fair. I'll throw out one more honorable mention for HBO. And I was on the documentary train. I checked out Murder on Middle Beach. That was a documentary. They had a 4-episode run like in the middle of the fall. It's about this kid who like graduated college, his thesis project, like similar to ours. He did a documentary, except he did it on his mother's murder. And it was like she was murdered when he was in high school, like finishing college. And then the amount of different conspiracy theories he unravels in his family. And there's all sorts of like weird money things going on. There's like Ponzi schemes involved. We have different family suspects going on. Like it was bonkers. Like I'm watching, you could watch about 15 different suspects about who in this family could be involved in the death, which is pretty nuts. So I recommend it.
That show is in my HBO queue. No joke. It's on my list or whatever to eventually watch. I just haven't gotten there yet.
I recommend it stays in there. I will take Lovecraft Country out of mine then, based on your recommendation.
Listen, you may like it. It just wasn't for me. Didn't tickle my funny bone.
All right. Let's move on. Let's go to Netflix. And I think when you talk about Netflix in 2020, you have to start with Tiger King. Sam, what were we all thinking back in April when this thing came out?
I don't know. We were all stuck at home. We all didn't see humans. We didn't talk to anybody. We didn't see anybody in person. We saw everybody through screens. So Tiger King was perfect for us. And I feel like for that time, it was great. It was like a nice thing to rally upon. Because I feel like it really came out right when everything shut down. Yeah. I mean, I could be off in my dates and stuff. But I don't know. It was really entertaining for what it was. Like, it gave me something to do. I enjoyed it. Great memes. We took Carol Baskin too far, but for what it was, it had some great sound clips. Like, I'm never going to financially recover from this, which I probably use every couple of days when I buy something I don't need. But other than that, I feel like it served its purpose for 2020. It served its purpose for our COVID era or for our quarantine year.
John, I know this is definitely what you were referencing back at the top of the podcast, and you said there's certain things we should not have gotten into, but we did. So if you want to go away, go for it.
I mean, it was just, I admit, I watched it, and then I remember going, why am I watching this? And I had 2 episodes left, so I just had to finish it, but there's nobody to like in the entire show. You're rooting against everybody. You end up rooting for the Tigers, but in terms of human people, it's crazy. Also, the fact that what's his face, the Tiger King, I forget his name.
Joe Exotic.
He legit got votes for a political office and got more than 10%. He got a legit margin of votes, which scares the crap out of me that could actually happen in America. Terrifies me. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
And Carol Baskin, Sam said it. Why is she still on television at all? She's terrifyingly creepy. She is evil. She's like an evil witch from a freaking old Disney movie that keeps cats captive. Yeah. She's a crazy cat lady from a Disney movie, but in real life. And she was Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
When she did the whole meow. She literally did the meow to the camera for a preview, and I cringed in my couch every time I saw it. Ugh.
Well, hello there, you crazy cats and kittens. You want to talk about this show again?
No.
Oh my God, no. That's horrible. I just cringed at that. Yeah. Ugh. Bad memories.
She is nobody. I understand if you like pets. I get it. But nobody should like pets the way she does. She also killed a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think we all agree she killed her first husband. Joe Exotic was right about that.
Percent.
Yeah, the one thing that Joe Exotic is right about is she killed her husband.
What do you think of the odds are, after he's out of prison, Joe Exotic goes on Dancing with the Stars?
No, because he'll be on too many drugs to possibly do that.
He's gonna get his tigers back. He's gonna get his zoo back or whatever. I feel like that's what he's gonna be focused on.
Yeah,
it's crazy that they were planning a movie for the show too, like a big motion picture, and people were jazzing up to like who's going to play what parts or whatever. And I don't know if that's still going to happen, but God, talk about being like out of touch when that movie finally comes out, because nobody's going to care about Tiger King nearly as much as they did for the month of April.
Yeah, wasn't Nicolas Cage attached to that at one point?
Yeah, at some point. I think Kate Keenan was attached to it at some point. Like,
Yeah,
no.
I think this little clip will basically sum up John's mood on Tiger King. Yeah, why?
I'm upset that I was part of the craze for that month. I am ashamed of myself. I'm looking at myself, looking into a mirror and saying, I'm sorry to the world for contributing to the conversation around Tiger King. I am partially to blame.
We all are partially to blame. We all got sucked into this mess. But one thing we also got sucked into, I think that we enjoyed more, was The Haunting of Bly Manor. Sam and I talked about this on our Halloween special. John, you had not finished it while we were on the Halloween special. I'm assuming by now you have completed it. What did you think about the season?
I thought it was a very, very good piece of storytelling. I don't think it was as scary as its predecessor, Haunting of Hill House. I think I prefer Haunting of Hill House to Bly Manor. Well, but with that being said, Bly Manor was still one of the best TV miniseries or just shows that I saw this year. It gave me a lot of enjoyment. I think the way it crafted a story was well told. I don't think the acting held up to how well the story could have been for certain points. But as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It did spook me at certain times, but it wasn't as much of like jump scares as Haunting of Hill House was, in my belief. But with that being said, I still recommend it to absolutely everyone, and I am counting down to when the next one's going to be made, because I'm definitely tuning in.
Well, Sam, I know you and I talked about this also. We do think John made a good point here that, as we said, this was not really like a jump scary, like this is going to be a very scare, like edge of your seat fight. It's more a psychological thriller, and as the creators themselves said, it's sort of like a love story in disguise.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so like, The Haunting of Hill House was scary, but like there was things about like the Bly Manor that like just maybe it's just like a personal, decision or feeling. I felt more scared in Bly Manor than I did for Hill House, for the fact that like it's just like the faceless doll things, like them being faceless, them forgetting. I felt like that was just more scary for me. You know what I mean? Like you're locked in this closet, like, it's just, they took like the afterlife and everything to like a scary level. Like this could happen to you, like you're attached to something and they open the box and boom, you're gonna come out and start drowning people. Like it was just like some weird like thing that just didn't sit right. I thought it was like a great like ghost story. Like it was like one of those I don't know if you read those books when you were a kid, like the girl who like had a ribbon on her neck and then she finally took it off and her head fell off. I forgot what they're called. They did a movie about it this year.
Goosebumps?
No,
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Yes, it kind of felt like one of those stories, like an isolated, like longer version of that. But I thought it was like it was a love story, and I'm still upset about some people who died, and I'm still not over it. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do have a bit of bad breaking news about that. The creator, Mike Phillips, actually came out I think this is sort of like a news dump that happened around Christmas, is that he said there are no plans for a future Haunting installment right now. So, as of right now, it's just these two. He said no guarantee for the future, but right now they are not planning anymore.
Why? Can they? I hope they hear us in our podcast and why?
Yeah,
they'll respond, because I would like a PR crafted answer. Like,
yeah, I will. I believe he said just that like they didn't have a good story right now. I think that's what he came up with. He said like that was his excuse. He's like, I don't have a story. I'm not gonna just do it for the sake of doing it, which I respect.
I respect that too.
You gotta respect it. If you don't have a good story to tell, don't push anything forward. Don't be like a True Detective season 2 and try and catch the iron while it's hot. Let it sit and let it lie, because people will go back and watch the originals and ask for the new ones.
That's the Watchmen approach. The Watchmen TV show said we're not doing a second season. We don't have a story for it. Like we told our entire story, and I respect that approach, because why give us a terrible product and just ruin the legacy of the greatness he made?
I agree with you. I mean, now I need another scary show to kind of fill the void, because I always look for something scary in October and to end the year. So hopefully something can fill the void come 2021. He
said he and his group are working on a thriller for Netflix. So they will have something coming in that point. Not another Haunting, but that group is doing something.
Love to hear it. Love it.
All right, so let's go round the horn here quick. A couple of other Netflix picks. I will go first. I'll throw a couple of things out here. I talked to our friend Steve Cults about The Circle this year, the reality show. I highly recommend it. We're social distancing before it was cool, and I think it was a very fun experiment to see how these people interacted just over social media. Unsolved Mystery. Sam and I talked about this. We love this show. John got into it as well. Like, this is great. But my question to either...
I like the first series of Unsolved Mysteries a lot more than the second bunch.
I agree.
I'm having a really hard time getting through the second bunch.
Yeah, the second bunch was weaker.
Much weaker. I'm like halfway through it, and I need to push myself to finish the last 3 episodes.
There's one there's like one that's the premiere of the second one I like, and then they kind of drop off after that.
That's the Washington, D.C. murder, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's by far the best one thus far I've seen in series 2.
Yeah, the rest of them kind of drop off. There's one where I was like sitting there, I'm like, we're really doing an episode on this, and like it was just really weird. I think it was like one based in Japan. I just couldn't get through. I kind of skipped ahead to the next one.
Yeah, the tsunami one.
Yes.
Ghosts. Yeah, that was a little like far fetched for me.
It was super long too. It was like 55 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? Like, and then like it's something that they didn't realize. I don't think is like, unless you have very compelling stories, it's hard to expect people to stay focused with subtitles for 55 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like Parasite where like you're hooked and you're like right on it. Like they were just like dragging, and the music didn't help. It was just very like melodic and like, okay, this is the ghost here, and he was in my cab, and then he wasn't there, and then it's like,
leave that down.
Yeah, I couldn't. Like that's the one I remember is that there was a guy in a cab, and he just disappeared, and the cab driver freaked out.
Yeah, and then like they were like, yeah, no, we're like taxi drivers for the ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're just gonna let that go. We're just that's all we're gonna touch upon. Like that you had a ghost in there, and you're like, it's okay, we're gonna pay it forward, you know.
Yeah, and this is my last pick. This is one I think I've told Sam about this. I think John, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen The Death of 2020 yet?
No, I haven't even heard that, to be honest with you.
It just came out. It's a mockumentary from the folks who did Black Mirror about the year 2020. They brought in an all-star cast of actors to play, like, quote-unquote, like, experts they interview in the documentary. Like, Samuel L. Jackson plays a reporter. Hugh Grant plays, like, a British historian. And Kristen Milioti from How I Met Your Mother fame is a Karen in the piece. And they go through all the crazy stories of the year with the election and the news cycle and all that. And they make fun of everything, and it's fantastic. And there are so many great lines from it. Leslie Jones is in this. I was telling you earlier. She plays an author. Lisa Kudrow is basically a fake Kayleigh McEnany, and it's a lot of fun. I was dying laughing on it. They make fun of Joe Biden's age. They make fun of Donald Trump a bunch. They make fun of Boris Johnson. Like, nobody is safe from the jokes. It's a lot of fun. It makes you laugh when you need to pick me up.
Well, I didn't even know that was a thing, so I'll have to look into that. I had no idea.
It is number 6 on the Netflix top 10 right now.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sam, I feel like you love a good mockumentary.
Yeah, but I don't want to like spoil anything that's coming up, but little slight spoiler, I have a mockumentary to say in a little bit.
All right. Let's go to you next. What are your other Netflix picks for 2020?
For me?
Yes, for you.
I'm going to really like start off pretty strong. I got The Queen's Gambit. I was sitting watching TV. I'm like, I'm going to watch a movie. And then like the little top part where it plays the preview came on, like when I turned on Netflix, and it was like the Queen's Gambit, like the little preview, like the day of. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just watch this. It was so good. I was like, okay, maybe it was like so good. Maybe it was just the time of my life where I was like, I need something to watch because I have not watched it again. I always watch everything twice. My initial reaction and then my, more like toned in, like, oh, is this good? But honestly, I really enjoyed The Queen's Gambit. I thought it was a great release time, and it was like more of a surprise. It took me off guard. Also, Mr. Dursley, not Mr. Dursley, but what's his face? Dudley Dursley is in it from Harry Potter. That I was like, this guy looks so familiar, and it took me till after reading an article to know who it was. But I thought it was a really cool story to tell. Chess is not everybody's cup of tea, but I feel like bringing this in and having a nice character to have this like dark, disturbing, like story to tell. I thought it was interesting. I feel like Netflix doesn't have that well of written original series sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm sure all their movies I feel like I can't watch. Like it literally makes me cringe. But for their TV shows, it's a little more acceptable. But yeah, I'm going with Queen's Gambit. I wish we can have little like graphics that pop up like in TV, like Queen's Gambit, like up top of my head. But like, yes. So Queen's Gambit, final answer. Ding, ding, ding.
All right, Sam's in with the Queen's Gambit. John, any Netflix picks that we did not mention yet?
I mean, I haven't watched Queen's Gambit yet, but it's on my queue to eventually watch it because I know it's going to be one of those shows that like I need to watch and pay attention to, not something I can have on in the background. So I need to make time, and I haven't done that yet. I've heard only good things about it.
You have to wait till after basketball at least.
Yeah, John can't be doing Photoshop and watching the Queen's Gambit.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
In terms of other Netflix picks, just kind of a hodgepodge here. The Schwarz Improv special was phenomenal. If you like improv, they did 3-hour-long comedy specials, which I think are a tour de force and made me crack up all 3 of them. Extra was a very good action movie. Not a great movie by any means, but Chris Hemsworth just kicking butt and looking good doing it. So that's always enjoyable. The Five Bloods, Spike Lee movie. I personally didn't love it, but it's going to be in the Oscar conversation for Best Picture of the Year. So you probably should tune into that. And then for me, a movie that should be considered one of the best of the year, but probably isn't going to be The Devil All the Time. Bill Skarsgård, Tom Hiddleston, Jason Clarke, ton of really famous people in this movie. Robert Pattinson, very dark, not everyone's cup of tea, but definitely was right for me in terms of a brooding film. So those are kind of my other Netflix recommendations.
That was a strange one. I was like, I'm not too sure about this. And I remember watching and I'm like, it has to be almost over. And then there was still like another hour left. I'm like, what the hell are they going to do with this? The jury in my mind is still out about that movie. Like, literally, I still don't know how I feel about it. Like, I've watched it, I think, twice. And I'm like, I really don't know how to feel about it at all.
I loved it. I know it's not for everybody, but I loved that movie.
Oh my God. But then did you you were breaking up just a little bit. Did you mention the movie with oh my God, with the superhero powers? I'm trying to find the name of it. I can't
something Power. No.
It was Power. It was like
Power?
Yeah, I think you take the pill and then you have your own power.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that bad. I'm not saying it's anything critique and it wasn't anything like beautiful and whatever, but I thought it was like an entertaining 1.5 to 2 hours just to watch. I thought it was like just an interesting concept.
Interesting concept. I don't think it delivered all the way, but I'll admit I finished it, so I was entertained by it.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx, that's who was in it.
Jamie Foxx, yep.
Not like Jamie Foxx. He is a beautiful human being.
Unless he's playing Electro.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That's literally the point I was going to make.
No, Jamie Foxx equals hearts, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, again, I will say, again, unless he's playing Electro. I have a Jamie Foxx love spot coming up later in the podcast, but we'll get to him. Let's go quickly to The Mandalorian because we have not gotten John's take on it because the finale just dropped. We had a whole podcast about this. Sam was on the panel with me. Everybody, Keith Considori was on there. My buddy Nick Ferreira was on there. John, we did the premiere of this podcast. Timothy Olyphant did not come back. Some other people did come back, including some people from the franchise. So, your take on the finale of The Mandalorian?
I enjoyed the finale of The Mandalorian. I really enjoyed the season as a whole. Obviously, the big thing with the finale is Luke coming back. While I thought it was great spectacle and I geeked out for it, it has my antennas up. I'm a little bit worried that it's diving too deep into the beloved Star Wars canon of the Skywalker saga. I preferred the show when it was more of its own thing. So I am slightly worried that it's going to be veering into the path of more popularity and more populist opinion. But with that being said, still an amazing, amazing season of television. Probably my favorite overall TV show of the year from an entertainment value. The pure pleasure I got from Boba Fett being a barbarian and just demolishing stormtroopers with a club. My God, I was jumping up and down on my couch.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. And that's going to be the next big show for Disney Plus is Boba Fett, the chapters of Boba Fett. They're taking a break from Mando and from Grogu. So I'm definitely excited to watch it, though my antennas are up. I'm slightly worried, but still optimistic.
Yeah, I trust Filoni and Favreau to do a good job with that show because they've earned our trust what they've done so far. I think they are.
Correct.
This season was a little Iron Man 2-ish in terms of like how much they're trying to shove in to set things up for the future. But I did like when they were going with all these things. I will say, though, I could have done without Frog Lady. She ended up being useless at the end of this season.
I mean, that was a lot like the first season where it was just kind of a mission every episode type thing. They were just there and she was there to carry along for a couple of episodes. So, I mean, it is what it is. I still really, really enjoyed it. I'm not even sure there are multiple episodes you could pick for being your favorite of the season. And I think like my dark horse is the episode The Siege, directed by Carl Weathers. Because that had the most nostalgia in terms of like
Mandalorian.
old Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
Like the little things, like the TIE fighter sounds and the gas pedal being pushed down on the speeder. And those little things made me love that episode maybe more than most the rest of the season.
Ironically, that was the episode Sam recapped this season was The Siege.
I know, I was like, this is the best, can't get better. And then I'm like, the finale, and I'm like, damn, I'm eating my words.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy that. I still enjoy that episode. I'm like one of those like sick people who like read theories online. And I know, Mike, we talked about this like off air. But I was like, they were like saying like, what if Ben Solo kills Grogu? Like, because like they're probably training together at the same time. And people, because like the internet is full of like insane ideas. And I'm just like so worried that they would do this thing. But then today I was reading theories that he would not kill Grogu. I'm very onto this. I'm sorry I had to bring it up. I had to bring up my conspiracy theories for the Mandalorian / Grogu, because I only honestly care about Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. So
we'll be clear that Grogu has plot armor in the form of the almighty dollar, that they will never kill him off, otherwise they will lose all the merch that they could sell for this. But I will also point out with Grogu that he could pull what he pulled here with the Order 66 situation in the prequel trilogy, where we have the meme saying he got missed by Anakin because he went out to go get snacks. So maybe he goes and finds some food, and he misses Ben Solo murdering all the Jedi children.
He's just so cute. They're probably like, we can't kill this guy. It's like way too cute. Like nothing's gonna come of this.
Yeah. So John, also they dropped a ton of toy knowledge, and they dropped a ton of plots and shows coming up. What are your opinion on all of this?
Well, I think, first of all, my opinion is that this is Disney Plus telling HBO Max to go shove it, because we're Disney Plus and you have Warner Brothers, but we have Disney. So that was my first takeaway. This was just kind of like stomping them into the ground and being, remember your place. Secondly, I was overwhelmed by all the Star Wars stuff. I think some of it is I'm more excited for than most. I'm incredibly excited for the unnamed Taika Waititi film. I'm hoping that he could kind of give new energy into the Star Wars cinematic universe like he did with Thor Ragnarok. So I'm hoping he could do that. I'm really excited for the Acolyte show, because it seemed like it's going to be the most disconnected from the original Star Wars story, being set hundreds of years before The Phantom Menace, again, for kind of an independent story. And then also, I'll admit, I'm really excited for Ahsoka, because I love Rosario Dawson. I'm watching Clone Wars now. Mandalorian season 2 got me doing that. I'm about to end love Ahsoka. I'm very excited for when that comes out, because I'm going to be all caught up on Clone Wars and Rebels by that point. So in terms of the things I'm most excited for, the Taika Waititi film, the Acolyte TV show, and Ahsoka.
Yeah, I think it's a good setup here for Disney Plus. The only other thing I think it was really notable for them was the Hamilton film. Did you guys agree that was probably the two big things for 2020 for them?
I loved it. I don't care if it's basic. I don't care if it's basic white boy bitch shit like Pumpkin Latte. I loved it. I have rewatched it. I listened to the soundtrack. It's incredible. Satisfied was my #1 song on Spotify this year for a freaking reason, because it's freaking awesome. So I don't care if it's a basic bitch thing to like. I loved Hamilton and will continue loving it. It got me excited for In the Heights, which is coming out in 2021, because Lin-Manuel Miranda's back directing a musical with some catchy music, and I'm all about it. So thank you, Hamilton.
Wait a minute, you didn't like In the Heights in like 2007?
I didn't even know it was a thing in 2000.
Oh my god, I loved it. I got to see that, like that was probably like 2 years later when it went into production. But I literally was gonna skip jury duty because my he's basically my uncle. He literally got me and my brother tickets to go see Hamilton. So I got to see it with the original cast. So this was like, I literally was like, I will go to jail to go see Hamilton like live. Like, I really don't care. Like, what are they going to do? And I'm just like, I was okay. I was accepting the fact that I was going to go to jail for like, evading jury duty. But I thought this was great. I thought it was a really good. The only difference was I didn't have Jonathan Groff as my King George. I had Andrew Reynolds. Yeah. So I thought he was great as that one too. So I thought it was so cute. It was so good. Oh my God. No, it was so good. I'm so glad everyone's loving Hamilton. And I'm so glad you're loving In the Heights. It's a really bomb soundtrack. I don't know if you heard it yet, like fully.
Oh, I made the promise every musical that I want to go see, I don't listen to the soundtrack because I want to hear it with the show. So I had never heard Hamilton before I watched the movie. I had purposely avoided it for years. And then finally I let it flow over me like a giant tsunami of emotion. And it took me on a wild ride and it's still carrying me out to the ocean.
Yes. I mean, if you ever want to go for it, always for like Broadway, you can listen to the first act, just like maybe not the last song to lead you into the like intermission. But other than that, you're pretty much good. Like all the information comes in the second act most of the time, not all the time. But In the Heights, you're good to listen up to like Blackout and you're good to go.
All right, well, if it comes over me, I'll let you know. But I'm very excited for it. And Hamilton, Mike, like you said, I think that really got Disney Plus on the map before the Mandalorian season 2 came out because that carried them for the entire summer.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. And my question to you, John, is this: are you going to sneak The Room Where It Happened into the Iona men's warm-up soundtrack here?
I don't think the men's basketball players would love it. But with that being said, they don't have creative control over social media, so a Hamilton soundtrack might make its way into a video in the not so distant future.
Hey,
you can totally do that. I could see you getting away with that. It just needs to be the good moment and the right time.
Oh, I can make it work. I'll make it work.
It's so easy to make The Room Where It Happened work for a basketball thing. You can just tie it to the gym and say, this is the room where it happened when something amazing happens. Like Isaiah Ross maybe has another 25-point night, and then there you go.
You know what? No one else was in the room when it happened. You could just feel like that's me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have nobody coming in to watch the games because COVID, but.
Or one could say we're getting a new locker room, and that's the room where it happens.
Yeah. This is true. It's a good transition also getting to the movies now, because movies is not as big as it usually is because of COVID. We're going to shut the theaters down. But Jon Stanko recently published on his own blog, StankoStans.com. He published his top movies of the year. What are your picks, John?
So I have the blog I put out, Mike, is my 5 favorite movies. So I can just run through those really quick. This is released in the calendar year 2020. Run, which was on Hulu, was my number 5. Hamilton, Disney Plus, was number 4. Nobody Sleeps in the Wood is a Netflix movie that you guys probably have never heard of before, but it's a Polish horror movie that I loved.
Of course.
So that was really good. Yes, God, Yes is my number 2, and then Portrait of a Lady on Fire is my number 1, and is probably a top 10 movie for me of all time. So those are my 5 favorite movies. I'm currently working on the 5 best movies of 2020 because that is a little bit of a different list. But if you have to make room for 2 movies in 2020 to see, Yes, God, Yes, and Portrait of a Lady on Fire, absolute must-watches.
Yeah,
I literally watched that because I saw your tweet and I had nothing else to watch. And I was like, I'm going to watch this. And I was like, this is really good. So
Yes,
thank
God,
you.
Yes.
I still owe you a thank you for that one. That was really good.
Yes, God, Yes is the funniest movie I saw this year. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But did you see Palm Springs?
I did. I enjoyed Palm Springs a lot. I did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorites, but I was very entertained. I actually enjoyed Happiest Season on Hulu more than Palm Springs, the new kind of Christmas movie with Kristen Stewart in it. I enjoyed that one more than Palm Springs.
I didn't watch that one. I literally I was telling Mike before you popped on, I was like, I've been doing so bad with movies this year, like absolute trash. Like I did watch Wonder Woman. I know we'll get to that, but like literally
Trash.
I know. I was like, we were talking about this yesterday and I'm like, I have to get it over with. Like I literally said that just to get it over with. But I thought Palm Springs was such another strange movie, but like I enjoyed it for some reason. Like it's normally out of my like entertainment range. Like I'm not normally one to go for things like that, but I was like, I really did enjoy it. I also love Andy Samberg, so.
I mean, it's literally a movie about living the same day over and over and over. Can you get a more like relatable movie for 2020 than that? It's literally people were doing that all summer long and all fall long. So it fit for when it came out. And to be fair, it was a good movie even in its own right.
Yeah, let's also before we get into some of the movies quickly that came out, to see the big ones. Like I will tell you, John, that like I'm working my way down that queue we made back in May. I'm up to the Jackie Robinson DVD, so I've gotten through pretty much most of the big part of the list. Although I did make a pit stop for Spider-Verse last weekend, as you know, and I agree with you, best Spider-Man movie of all time.
It's the best Spider-Man movie of all time, and it's not even close. And I hope now you share my opinion that I am terrified they're not in real action for the next Spider-Man movie, because that animated piece of masterpiece on its own, and don't the real live, which I think is going to be Spider-Man 2, where they're packing too much into a movie like that.
Yeah,
so I'm terrified for what that movie's going to be.
I'm terrified of it too, because I don't know who's more in that direction. It's Sony's idea or Feige's idea. If it's Feige, I trust him, or if it's Sony, I really would like crap my pants on that. It's like, oh boy, they're gonna break this.
I mean, we have to wait and see. I think Tom Holland's really good, but in terms of bringing everyone else back, it's going to be really, really hard to make it all gel together as well as Spider-Verse did.
Yeah, I will also point out the underrated gem on that list that I saw. I love Blinded by the Light. Like I was really into that when I got to it.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that one, so you're gonna have to shoot that one. Shoot a reminder to me in a text so I can see that one.
I will tell that to both you and Sam. You should check that movie out. It's a lot of fun, and they do a good job with the Bruce stuff, and the acting in that's really, really good. And they give you a very non-traditional cast, which is a very, very nice thing to see these days.
All right.
Let's go on some of the main movies you might have heard of. So, John, you're the X-Men guy. Give me the quick what happened with New Mutants.
New Mutants is a movie that was doomed from the start. And even its mediocre expectations were probably too high. And it fell so flat that it even didn't meet the bar of just average. It was just bad. The second worst X-Men movie in the entire franchise. I think there are 13 of them that I ranked earlier just about a month ago. It's the second worst, only in front of X-Men Origins Wolverine. But with that being said, the only enjoyable part of it was Anya Taylor-Joy, who went on to be in Queen's Gambit and made sure the stink of New Mutants didn't last very long for her. So that's the only really silver lining on it, is that people got to see Taylor-Joy earlier than Queen's Gambit, and she was able to recover all of Hollywood for the Gambit. But otherwise, skip New Mutants. It literally means nothing because Disney's going to reboot everything, so there's no reason to watch it. Zero.
Unless you're a completionist.
Like myself, which is why I wanted to watch it, but it was a hot, steaming piece of garbage.
Okay, so avoid that one. I will talk about the last movie that I saw in theaters in 2020, which was Sonic the Hedgehog. I remember we took a dump by on last year's pop culture special because like, boy, it's going to be a train wreck, and it was actually fun. I gave it a good grade. I gave it a solid B. Jim Carrey was spectacular as Robotnik. He was very funny, very physically comedy. John, I remember you gave it a solid grade too. What'd you think?
I mean, I remember it was more enjoyable than it had any right to be. There's definitely going to be a sequel at some point in time.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it by any means, but with that being said, if someone popped it on, I wouldn't be upset. It's very much the family-friendly superhero movie of this year, I would say, in terms of people getting universal entertainment out of it, both adults and kids, compared to other ones, especially with no Marvel movie this year. So it filled a void. And again, credit to Jim Carrey. He was allowed to be very quirky, and he excelled at that.
Yeah, I think also a hot take. I think Jim Carrey, Dr. Robotic, better than Jim Carrey, Joe Biden on SNL.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. I concur with your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll skip the Biden SNL comparison here, but we'll go on to some other ones. John, you got Mulan. What'd you think?
Oof. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of the animated Mulan, but with that being said, could we all agree that this remake live action was boring as hell? So boring, so terribly poorly acted. Like, the only cool parts were like 10 minutes of action here and there, but this movie was so boring. Oh my God, I was folding laundry going, I'd rather take a nap than finish this movie. Like, a huge disappointment. $200 million budget for that. And with all the political controversy surrounding it as well, nothing good came out of this. I don't remember anyone really saying a positive thing about it. The critics thought it looked great, fantastic. You still need a story to tell, and there was no story. It was bad.
Yeah,
I did not enjoy it at all.
Yeah, and I know Sam was talking about last year. One of her picks wanted to see was Mulan. So good to say you did not spend the $29.99 to get the premiere access.
Time out. How has it failed me? I've not, since Beauty and the Beast, I have not watched a remake live action Disney film. And I really think that I'm going to just stick to my like little theory there. Because I feel like it hasn't let me down. Like I heard Aladdin wasn't good.
Aladdin's okay.
Good.
Aladdin's fine. Aladdin is fine.
I heard it was god awful. Like literally my boyfriend loves Aladdin. Like loves Aladdin. He goes, I hated it. And I'm like, if you hated it, and you can watch anything, I'm not watching it. Like, I think I'm going to just go by my, my standard of not watching real, like, stick to the cartoons. I'm saying stick to the cartoons.
All right.
I won't be watching the live action Mulan. I will tell you, I won't be doing it. I just, no desire whatsoever. Just no.
All right. So we'll move on from there. I handled Tenet because I'm a big Nolan guy. I think it's visually spectacular. The plot gets confusing at points. I think it's got issues. I gave it the B-. I think be prepared to look up something at the end, try to figure out what's going on, but I think Nolan got a little too in his own head in terms of trying to explain that one. That's my take on Tenet.
I've heard the same things. I haven't watched it yet. That's going to be a New Year's Eve special in the Stanko apartment. Me and my girlfriend are renting that, and we're probably watching that and Soul on New Year's Eve, since we're taping a little bit before then. So, Mike, Sam, I'll report to you after I see him. But I heard the same things about Tenet, Mike, that a little bit like Interstellar, it got a little bit too heavy and in the sauce for its own good.
Yeah, I have it 7 out of 10 in my Nolan rankings. Right behind Interstellar.
I loved Interstellar, so that's why I'm really excited for this one. But now I might... You know what? Too bad. We should double date here, Seiko. You and your girlfriend, me and my boyfriend, not in the same, room because COVID and we are being safe. But I might steal your idea and take those two movie recommendations for New Year's Eve.
Listen, one's gonna make you cry, and then the palate cleanser of the action of Tenet. That's kind of what's gonna happen.
Shit out of you. I feel like that's great. Make you cry and confuse the shit out of you.
There you go. That's a full emotional roller coaster for you on New Year's Eve.
Perfect.
All right, there you go. Let's get to the big one, Wonder Woman 1984. And I think we've all seen this one. It was not good.
This movie sucked.
Royally bad.
Straight up trash. F+ from your boy here.
F+.
This movie is arguably worse than Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think it is worse than Suicide Squad.
I was bored with Mulan. I was blatantly looking at my phone during Wonder Woman 84. Like, we were just ignoring parts of this movie, my girlfriend and I. We just didn't care. It was so bad. Like, Mike, you can go on this, but this is by far the most disappointing movie of 2020. Patty Jenkins, you lost everything that made the original Wonder Woman good in this sequel. Nothing was good about it. Pedro Pascal was the best part of this movie because he was the only one going completely just acting out of his shoes, like over the top. He was the only redeeming part of this, even though his character was trash and he was written poorly. Pedro Pascal himself was good, but everything else about this movie did not enjoy at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not thrilled with this. This definitely gave me major Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes. It was not good. It was overstuffed. We spent way too much time focusing on Steve Trevor, who, Chris Pine was fun, but he's not the title character. Wonder Woman was the title character. That's a big issue. And the CGI on the end with Cheetah was awful. It's really straight out of Cats.
Yeah, that final fight scene, you couldn't see anything between them. It was all in slow motion.
All the dark.
It was all in the dark, and it was just bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, honestly, this movie, Wonder Woman 1984, reminded me of two movies. One, The Wolverine with Hugh Jackman, where the first 2/3 of the movie was meant to be understanding what makes the character motivated. And then the last third was just, hey, we need to have some fight scenes because it's an action movie and a comic book movie. So we're going to throw them in. Only it did it so much worse than The Wolverine. And then also it reminded me of Superman, the 1970s version, directed by Richard Donner, where it's all happy-go-lucky, everyone's having a good time. We can rewind time to undo all the mistakes that we had before, and there were really no stakes to it at all, and nothing really catastrophic happened. Like, those are the two movies it reminded me of, and 1984 was worse than both those movies. Huge disappointment.
Mike, when you said that it reminded you of Cats, I literally had the same thought at the end. I was like, wait a minute, did they just like swap the editing? They're like, yeah, since you're editing the Cats movie, could you just like help us out for a hot second? But I'm just hoping that, like, you know, looking back, they're like, wow, we made such a mistake. This is just gonna be a standalone, not even in any kind of universe or timeline. Maybe we'll just like kind of like loop it out at the end. But like, I mean, let me tell you, Chris Pine has been my Hollywood crush since I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I'm old as heck right now. But like, literally, like, I love the guy, but like, he didn't need to be in it, and like, I just didn't enjoy it, except for the part, Mike, when you said, "Beware, there's gonna be a fanny pack involved." That was funny. I thought that was pretty like humorful. Was it needed? No. Did I like it? Yes. And was that probably my favorite part of the movie? Also, yes, like when he was doing the outfit changes. But like, I love women superheroes. Like, I am a woman, and I love literally like seeing powerful ass women kicking ass. And like, she didn't even kick ass because she had to give up, you know what I mean? She like lost her powers for wishing Steve back into existence. And I was like, that's stupid, but whatever, it's not my movie. But like, I don't know. I just feel like there was so much missing, and like there was like just they took away from so much of her character. Like, she's not somebody who needs that, like Steve. Like, she said it herself, basically. So I was just, I don't know. Well, thankfully I went in it because Mike told me how bad it was. I went in it with such a low expectation. I was like, you know, at the same level as my expectations. So actually, I should give Mike a huge thanks here.
No problem. Looking out for you guys, trying to do the best I can here with this. And last but not least, I will give you guys a positive recommendation here. We're going to go to Soul from Pixar. Just came out on Disney Plus. Jamie Foxx is in this. He's the starring character. Is a middle school teacher named Joe, teaches music, gets his big break. Basically, the plot goes like he accidentally dies. His soul ends up like in a place, and he tries to realize, oh, I didn't want to die for my big break. So he ends up going into like this place called the Great Before, where he's supposed to mentor young souls and help them find their spark before you join the real world. Very touching story, very good voice acting, diverse cast. Highly recommend it. Also, for the New York sports fans, they did get a shot in at the Knicks in this movie, which I think was hilarious. So I did pull that clip off of Twitter. This is from Stefan Bondi, Knicks beat reporter for the Daily News Twitter account. Let's listen to this, because this is from the movie Soul. This is all their property, not my responsibility, but here's the clip of the Knick joke.
This is the zone. It's the space between the physical and spiritual.
Wait a minute. I was here today doing my audition. This must be where musicians come when they get into a flow.
Not just musicians. Watch this.
Oh, Romeo, wherefore art thou blind?
Oops. Check this out. I have been messing with this team for decades.
And the Knicks lose another one.
All right.
Yep. So Soul 22, played by Tina Fey, is why the Knicks have sucked for about 50 years.
Oh my God, that's so sad. It's so funny.
John, I think that makes sense.
Listen, I am very excited for this movie, Mike. I cannot wait to cry. I'm guaranteeing tears, guaranteeing it. I can't wait to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, but you've said good things. I've heard good things. Very excited about it.
I had tears at the end. It was that good.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah. That's a good date night film for New Year's Eve.
Crying.
Yeah.
Crying out 2020 into 2021.
It gives you all the feels, though. It gives you some hope going into the next year.
I hope so. Pixar always makes me so upset. Like, I'm still upset over Up, and that came out in 2007. Like, still upset about thinking about it.
I think that's all we got for the movies. Before we wrap things up real quick, a couple of things. John, 2 minutes on Taylor Swift.
What a glorious year. People said 2020 was bad. And there were some tough things. COVID-19 was tough. Not seeing your families was hard. The movie business dying was hard. But let me tell you, we got 2 Taylor Swift albums. It was a great year. What are we talking about? We got Folklore and Evermore coming out, two of her better albums ever. It was 2020. I mean, it wasn't so bad. I would consider it a great year. Phenomenal. 2 Taylor Swift albums. Delightful.
There we go. Jon Stanko, very excited about Taylor Swift.
I wish everyone could see Sam's face right now because she just doesn't completely agree. But man, oh man, was I stoked for Taylor Swift. 2 albums. And frankly, great albums, like universally and critically appraised good albums. I mean, it's incredible. She gets me in my tears. I'm going to listen to those before I watch Soul, and I'll have no more water in my body because all my tears will be out.
I literally never understood Taylor Swift. I don't think I'll ever understand Taylor Swift, but, you know, being a fan of music, I'm happy that Taylor Swift fans got so much music, new music. That's always nice when your like favorite artist is so kind and gives out new music. But like I said, I just don't get her. I just will never get her. And it's nothing mean. I don't have any animosity towards T Swift fans. I lived with the biggest Taylor Swift fan, Mackenzie, from all throughout college. And I've appreciated the album Red because that came out then and whatever is after that one. But literally, I just think it's so funny how much of a T Swift fan you are. And I just don't get it.
Listen, I'm a deep and emotional man down at the heart. You just gotta crack those shells open, and Taylor Swift can do that for you. She has the chisel. She can get into my emotions.
That's great.
Yes, she can. And we'll go to real quick. We're gonna do MVP, LVP of 2020 in the pop culture sphere. John, is Taylor Swift your MVP?
No, she's not my MVP. She's probably up there, but in terms, honorable mention first. Introverts are an MVP of 2020. We dominated it. We thrived in the quarantine. We thrived in the isolation. We're the MVPs. But my real MVP is in the realm of sports, and it's the NBA. The NBA did a phenomenal job with the bubble. The playoffs were fantastic. They've done the best job addressing the social justice amongst all the sports. For me, 2020, the MVP is the NBA because they were the saving grace of sports in terms of getting us back to a little bit of normality. So my MVP is the NBA.
Sam, MVP.
Well, I just want to have some honorable mentions of the new season of The Crown, which I didn't get to talk about. I thought it was an amazing season. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I actually took my time watching the entire season. I didn't just binge it like my normal self. And I want to mention The Undoing with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. I know we brought him up, and it literally went, ding, I forgot to talk about this great show. And that it was a cool, like, murder mystery. I'm not saying it's, like, the world's best thing I've ever seen, but it was great to have to watch and to, like, rally upon with everybody else, kind of like a Tiger King or, you know, a Queen's Gambit. But my favorite, out of left field, I feel like, for myself, my MVP, maybe because it came to me at a great time in my life, as in just because I had nothing else to watch and it brought me such joy. What We Do in the Shadows, I was introduced to this year, and holy shit, I think it's a great show. There's 2 seasons out right now, and we were talking before, a big writer on that is, I don't want to butcher his name, Mr. White. Well, I can't say his name. I don't want to say it. Yeah, I can't say it ever, and I just like don't want to embarrass myself, which I already did. But anyway, but I think it's great. If it's a mockumentary, if anybody likes The Office, you got a little gore, you know, you got a little, you know, you got the comedy, you got everything, and the acting is super great on that as well. I just think, I don't know, that's my MVP. I'm throwing something weird out there this year, something that I feel like nobody else would pick. So.
I've heard great things about the show. I watched the movie. I loved the movie.
Okay, I haven't seen the movie. That's the thing. Me and my brother told me, hey, maybe you should check this out. We both watched it. We both watch
the movie. The movie's great. Taika Waititi's in the movie. It's great. Yeah. Great movie. I just haven't watched the show yet, but it's in my queue of like it's in my list to eventually watch on Hulu. I just haven't gotten there yet.
That one's so easy. Like, yeah, you could binge through the entire thing, but it's like easy 30-minute installments, or a little less because there's no commercials, but oh my god, it's so good.
All right, so my MVP, I'm gonna give one honorable mention to Steve Kornacki from the MSNBC election coverage. He basically kept America sane for 4 days. He parlayed into a spot on Sunday Night Football, so good job, Steve Kornacki. But the MVP has to be Michael Jordan because he won The Last Dance and he gave us memes for about 15 years. So Michael Jordan, clear-cut MVP of 2020.
It's tough to argue with that. Like I said, The Last Dance is the cultural touchstone of 2020 that I think everyone can agree upon. So, I mean, it's a great pick, Mike. Great pick.
Okay.
I feel like also like they like really made documentaries like a thing again. I feel like without that, you wouldn't have people to like watch it as much anymore. I don't know. That's just my like take on that one. I feel like people like the documentary more than maybe they did in 2019.
Yeah, well, that's definitely become an easy thing to make now, so that definitely helps. But also quickly, LVPs, John, who is the least valuable player of 2020?
Honorable mention is HBO and their butchering of the HBO Max delivery to everybody, because so many people were confused by it. So that's an honorable mention. But I just teased this earlier. The LVP of 2020 is just the movie theater industry. I love going to the movies. That's how I go see these big tentpole movies, because I feel like I'll spend the money and I'll go experience it. I'm not paying. I have a hard time paying $20 to rent Tenet to watch on my TV in my living room. And it's like one of those things where I don't have the funds to just rent every big movie I want anytime I can. So not being able to go to the movies and justify spending the money to see those big movies has made it tougher for me. And I think it's made it tougher for the movie industry in general. So I think the movie theater industry is never going to be the same after COVID-19 and 2020. So they're my least valuable player.
All right, Sam, LVP.
First off, I just want to agree on the HBO Max thing. Like literally, I feel like it was just poorly done. And then on top of that, like if you have any streaming services like a Roku, like you had to wait until like the last week. Yeah, you had to wait till last week to get HBO Max on your like Roku and stuff, which is stupid because they had HBO, but they didn't come out with the other app for it, which I honestly just don't understand. Like, I'm just gonna push that aside. But like my biggest LVP is literally anybody who, again, mine's also movie related. It's like anybody who disregards like things on streaming services can't be an Oscar contender. Like all those like directors and stuff. Like I get it. You want your thing to go to movies, make money, all that stuff. But like adapt with the time. Like you just have to adapt. Like I feel like you're just being such a straight level. You know, you're just like in your own little container part of the movie theater business, that you have to just realize that things do change. And like, if you don't change things, then, you know, everything, like you become stagnant, and then people are just going to like cancel, you know, cancel culture, cancel you completely. Like all those directors saying like, you know, if anything comes out of Netflix, it shouldn't be a contender, but Netflix makes good things, as we've seen. You know, who can make good things? Like HBO Max makes good things. Like you shouldn't just take that away just because your only thing right now is streaming. Like that's what made me angry.
Okay, so my LVPs, I'll throw two honorable mentions out there. Number one dishonorable mention is Sony for completely butchering how they launched PS5, because I remember the launch day nightmare of how they had the pre-orders and they dropped them early and then everybody ran out, and it's hard possible anybody to try and get one if they want one. Another one, I will give Christopher Nolan LVP for his stance of like, my fans have to risk getting coronavirus to go with theater to see my movies because I'm too much of a snob to let it go on streaming first. I think my LVP, though, has to be Quibi, because if you are a streaming service in the year of the coronavirus and you go under, you're automatically the LVP, because Quibi was so bad that you could not get it on anything because people did not realize that, you know, you can't get it on your TV. You can't watch it on your laptop. You can only watch it on your phone. And who is watching 10-minute mobile videos on their phone when you can't commute from anywhere? No adaptability from Quibi. They went under. They are the LVP.
I forgot about them, to be honest.
I forgot they were a thing too. I completely and utterly forgot, which is sad because there were billions of dollars that went into the campaigning for that and the advertising. And good God, it died a really quick death.
So fast.
In a year where streaming was king, they went under. Well, I remember the biggest thing is they didn't allow like Chromecasting either.
Yeah,
they didn't even like allow you to watch it on your TVs. Like you had to watch it on your phone. Like people are stuck at home. They're not going to watch something on their phone where they could like when they have their TV in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I remember they got me mails because it had the fake 24 with Kiefer Sutherland playing the Jack Bauer character again. I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like Kiefer should be actually playing Jack Bauer again, not playing fake Jack Bauer on whatever the hell this show is.
I no idea about that show. That's a great call, Mike, because I forgot that existed in the world.
Oh, trust me, I did my research. I was prepared for this one. I was like, yeah, they failed. last but not least, we will go ahead to 2021. A look ahead. TV show you're looking forward to. Sam, I'll go to you first.
Oh my God. I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't even want to like put any like predictions out there just because you can use it against me in 2021. Not in a mean way. Just be like, hey, remember when you thought this was going to be great and it sucked? I don't even know. I honestly don't know. Right now, January the 4th, The Bachelor is starting. I think that's all my brain can honestly like process right now. So right now I'm just gonna go with The Bachelor. I'm just gonna hope that, sticks and is all right. And hopefully, Mike, you'll be joining Stanko and I in watching this season.
Okay, we'll see. Sam's on the board with The Bachelor. John, you're up. TV for 2021.
They got two quick ones. The quick one is The Witcher coming back to Netflix. Loved the first season. Loved the video games. Loved the books. Very excited for the new season. But Sam actually teased us a little bit with her LVP. What's going to happen with the Oscars this year? I usually don't like award shows, but this Oscars is going to be bonkers. I have no idea how it's going to play out, how they're going to produce it, who's going to be nominated and whatnot. So I'm very excited to see how that television show and that whole nomination and award process goes.
All right, so I'm on the board. I'll have 3 suggestions throwing out real quick. I like, in terms of the reality, Tough as Nails season 2. I'm a big fan of that show. I think it'll be fun to see them come back and get the winter Survivor time slot because Survivor can't film because of COVID somehow. The Book of Boba Fett, I am dying to see what that looks like, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And we had a break from Marvel. We're getting the Marvel Disney Plus shows. I'm intrigued to see what they look like in a 6 to 8 episode order as opposed to the 2-hour film. I'm intrigued to see what they produce here.
I'm having a really hard time getting amped up to watch WandaVision. I have almost no desire to watch that show.
Well,
close to zero.
Well, I think Sam and I are actually discussing on the podcast a couple of weeks, so we will let you know if this is worth your watching.
Let me know if it's worth it, because I don't like Red Scarlet from the movies, and I don't like Vision from the movies. I don't like them together, so why would I like the TV show? That's my biggest thing.
I'm just curious of what the psychotic mess that she thinks.
What that looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, report back, because I need to have my curiosity piqued in order for me to venture into that one.
Also, John, on HBO Max, the Tiger Woods 2-part documentary.
Oh, that's right. That's coming in
January.
First and second week of January. That's right. That I'll definitely watch for sure. Not going to be any Last Dance, but that's just going to get me wanting to go golfing again. But I can't do that with snow on the ground.
Hopefully, if your schedule allows and you get free from my own for about 30 minutes, we can discuss more of these episodes.
Maybe you're going to have to catch me on a Sunday morning or a Sunday night, because that's pretty much the only times I have free.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out off air sometime. But movies, John, you're the movie guy. What movies do you have on your list that hope you see in 2020?
I'll just rattle off a bunch here quick. No Time to Die, the James Bond movie. Very excited for Dune. Super stoked for Dune. Last Night in Soho, In the Heights, which I mentioned before. Top Gun Maverick, Deepwater, Mission Impossible 7. The Matrix 4, and Babylon. Those are the movies, just looking at the quick rundown of what's coming out in 2021, that I'm most excited for. So, but honestly, most excited for in terms of blockbusters, No Time to Die, because I love James Bond and Daniel Craig does a great job with it. Send him off properly, please. And Mission Impossible 7, how are they going to possibly top Mission Impossible Fallout, which was freaking awesome? How are they going to make that any better than it was? Those are probably the 2 blockbusters that I'm most excited for.
All right, Sam, your picks.
First off, I've never seen any Mission Impossible movie. I feel like
that hurts to hear.
Isn't that Tom Cruise? Who's in that?
It's Tom Cruise.
I hate Tom Cruise. That's why. I literally don't know why. No offense, Tom Cruise. I know you will never, ever, ever hear this because your ego's too big. But literally, I hate that guy. I barely watched Jerry Maguire. That's an Oscar award winning film. Sorry, I don't mean to digress and take a shit on Tom Cruise. But I'm very excited for Dune. I feel like that's gonna be a fun one. And that's coming out late in the year, I believe. Right?
October.
Yeah, October. I thought it was gonna be Christmas of 2021. But also, I know these next 2 Stanko's going to hate. Suicide Squad, the sequel, just because I love any kind of superhero movie. And then Space Jam 2, because I hope and I pray just to be in it. And I honestly, that's all I'm looking forward to. But regardless, Space Jam was a nice little concrete building of my life. So you have to watch, and I have to be excited for.
Space Jam, a new legacy, John.
I have a gross look on my face because I can't.
I know that, but like, what if Bill Murray's in it and he just like makes the whole film? Do you just not like Bill Murray?
I like Bill Murray. I like him in doses, and no, I'm not excited for Space Jam 2. That is probably my least excited things for.
I'm so excited. I don't care how much you shit on it. I'm just so excited. I apologize for all my bad words I'm saying. I forget that we're recording and putting this online, but like I just get so into the moment. But Space Jam, but come on, it's Space Jam. It's not supposed to be this classical, like, you know, mind-blowing movie. It's a kid's movie.
I want to know who the film is being made for. Is it being made for new kids, or is it being made for fans of the old one?
Probably fans of the old one and LeBron James. Like, literally, that's it.
Well, you can't have both, I don't think, because fans of LeBron James aren't fans of the old Space Jam because they're MJ fans. There's a natural digression there, and I don't know how that movie is going to fit into the middle of that Venn diagram and get both interests. I'm very curious to see how they're going to do that, but that's a very narrow path they need to follow.
Watch Michael Jordan be part of like the whole entire thing. He's just like, you know what? Let me just take this over.
That'd be very funny, actually. I'd be on board with that.
Because The Last Dance did so well. So he's like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to have a small role in this. And then he'll like change the whole thing.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up quick here. Add some new ones in that have not already been mentioned. I had Dune on there. I had Space Jam 2 on there. No Time to Die I had on there. I also am going to add in Black Widows because it's obviously the first Marvel movie about a year and a half. I'm curious to see, like, this is something we should have gotten a long time ago, but I want to see how they do Scarlett Johansson send-off on this. A Quiet Place 2 coming out. I'm intrigued about that because I think I like the first one on the Netflix watch that Stanko set me up on. I'm intrigued by that. And also, for the Bill Murray fans, Ghostbusters Afterlife. He is going to be in that. All the originals are going to pop up somewhere in there. And we'll see if they do a better job of this than the 2016 female-led reboot did.
I feel like it's really easy to do better than that movie, but I could be wrong and they could do worse. Because Bill Murray was in that too. So, like, it still kind of sucked.
Well, he was in there for about 5 seconds and got himself killed off. That was basically his involvement in the plot.
Yeah, I think that's all he wants to do anyway for anything Ghostbusters. I feel like he wants to distance himself from there. Like I'm speaking like I know the guy, but that's just my opinion on it.
All right, there we have it. That's our 2020 year in review in pop culture. I want to thank you guys for coming on. Let's get some social media handles. John, how can people follow you and keep up with your blog and podcast?
Follow me on Twitter at jstanko99. My blog is stankosstance.wordpress.com. Been pumping a few more of them out recently during some sleepless nights. So, go follow along. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, John. Sam, how can you follow you on social media? They want to keep up with what you're doing.
You can follow me on Twitter at SDEROS6. I've been very quiet for the lack of Jaguars fun things. I know they get the first pick, like we said before. I've just been a sad human being. So I watch you. Like what like your friend Nick said last week, like I rather see what you're doing. I liked that. So I've been doing a lot of peeping. Like I said, I see what you do, and Stanko, what you do. So I'm here to support. I'm a supporter.
All right. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. And that will do it for the Pop Culture Year in Review podcast. I want to thank our guests again, Jon Stanko, Sam Derosa. Great job. A very long conversation. There was a lot happened last year. A lot of fun stuff. It's amazing considering movies are basically non-existent. So fun conversation indeed. If you want more good stuff like this podcast, including my look at some New Year's resolutions for the New York sports franchises, check out the blog over at justendthesuffering.wordpress.com. You can also subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, all the usual suspects. Simply search for Just End the Suffering, your favorite podcatcher. Find all episodes there, including earlier this week, our conversation with Dan Wolken and Alan Austin. College football playoff, week 17 picks there. You also feel free to leave your feedback and star ratings as well. They help make this podcast even better going forward. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mike Phillips on YouTube. The video version of this podcast will be up on YouTube in just a bit. You will also be able to see all our individual conversations from previous podcast episodes out there as well. You can also follow me on Twitter at mphillips331. That's MPHILIPS 331. Coming up next week, we're going to get into the NFL playoff grind. We're going to recap Week 17, set up the wild card round, do some NFL picks, and more. Until then, Happy New Year, everybody.
This has been the Just End the Suffering podcast.
I'm out.